Hello students, today we're going to learn about how to write an autobiographical narrative. We're going to begin, and I want you to think of a time that you went on maybe vacation this summer, or at Christmas time some point, or a spring break, but just really a highlight of your life. And you're going to take that experience that you've had and you're going to turn it into a piece of writing, okay? And so I'm going to take you through one of my experiences that I've had and show you basically how I want you to do a similar type of writing. We're going to start with a word web, go into an outline. Then we're going to learn how to write a rough draft, the introduction, the body paragraphs, then the conclusion. Then we're going to go back and we're going to make it more dynamic. I'll show you how to do that. Finally, then we are going to do our final draft. Then I'm actually going to have you guys turn this ultimately into a PowerPoint or a Prezi or some other type of presentation, which may take some time, but it will be very interesting. So anyways, let's just take a look, a little bit of what you had learned previously in 4th grade. I just want to review some of these things, and then I add to them in 5th grade. So here we go. One is, you got to set the stage. Okay, that's where you're going to describe where and when the incident occurred. So I want you to just be thinking of these things as we begin. You're going to tell me about the characters. In other words, who was a part of this? You're going to use descriptive words and traits to describe those characters. For myself, it was my wife and I. Of course, we're looking for our plot line, which in the plot line, you're going to have the beginning. You're going to introduce how the incident began. There's going to be a rising action, and there might be a conflict, or at least kind of what was the exciting point that you want to talk about in particular. What happened in the middle that led to this conflict, or just this exciting time. The climax. At what point did your story reach its highest point? And then, of course, at the end, there's going to be the falling action. What events led to the end of your narrative? And finally, the resolution, which, of course, is going to be your conclusion. How did your event end? Okay. Now, we have to start somewhere. And where we're going to start, and I've titled mine, The Mantas of Kona. We're going to start with a word web. Okay? Now, when you do a word web, in the beginning, you just want to get really creative. You just want to put your ideas out there. And so I'm going to put on what I call my creative hat here for a second. All right. Got to get it adjusted there. All right. It's got kind of a funky thing sticking out the back, but it's just kind of wild and crazy, and that's what I want you guys to do. Okay? So put on your creative hat. The goal is to be as creative as possible, and let it flow. All right. So here we go. Now, I want you guys, when you do this, you're going to go ahead and make a circle. And in that circle, you're going to put the main idea of the whole story. For me, it was the night scuba dive. Okay? Now, from here, you're going to branch off. And we're going to be writing a 5-paragraph essay. So we're looking for 3 important ideas. And then we're going to add to those. Of course, your first paragraph that you learned in particular last year, I know, is always the introduction. And then your final paragraph is a conclusion. Okay, so we're working to figure out what is the body going to be. Those other ones will fit in, you'll see as we go. All right. One thing, too, I want to remind you is to, as we're doing this, you want to appeal to the senses. Now, there's the 5 senses we usually think of: touch, smell, hear, taste, and sight. But there's also other senses too. What are you thinking? What are you feeling as this is happening? So just be thinking about that as we work our way through. Okay. So for me, my first, you're going to draw a line out to the side. My first idea that I'm just coming up with. Now, it doesn't matter what order you necessarily do these in. Okay, you might start with the main thing, the main exciting thing you want to talk about, and then go back and figure out the others. maybe you're going to do it in order. Okay? Now mine, I started off with, in this night dive, of course I had to prep for the dive. Okay? The other main idea, so this is going to be one of my body paragraphs. Another main idea is the time at the bottom. Okay, when we dove down underneath the water, and we were down at the bottom. And the third one, this is my third body paragraph, is going to be the descent as we were descending down. Okay, from here, now I got my three main ideas that I'm going to make into my body paragraphs, but now I have to start adding some details to them, okay? One of the details in prepping for the dive was the fact that we had to put on a lot of gear. If you've ever been scuba diving, you got lots of gear, or know of somebody. Probably haven't dove yet, but hopefully you will someday. All right, another thing is, I was very excited, so was my wife. We were diving, expecting to run into these huge manta rays, and so yes, we were really excited. Another thing was the sunset. So as you can see, I've now drawn off of each of these circles key other ideas, and these are going to basically make up my sentences that I'm going to go into this main paragraph, okay? So, off of here, though, then I want to have some details that go off to get even more detailed. Now, just understand when you're doing this, you may not use every idea in there, but you will use a lot of them, okay? And so one of the things with the gear, one of the key elements is a regulator. So I had to put a regulator in my mouth. And that's, of course, what we breathe through. All right, another one was, of course, the mask. A weight belt that we put on, and fins. Now on yours, as you do yours, you'll come out with these ideas, and then you're going to add details to them, and they're going to branch off like this. So these are details of sentences that are going to go into my paragraph. Okay? All right. Now, you may have even a detail upon a detail. And I'm kind of doing this because later on I'm going to teach you about doing an outline. And I want you to see how different details and how they progressively build. Okay, we've got a strap, talk about the faceplate, that kind of stuff. Okay, let's see, I think that's the main part that I had here. So now I'm going to work on another one. Another one is the descent. Now in the descent, once again, I'm working sentences off of the main paragraph. During the descent, for example, for us, it was black. I mean, you jump into that water, it's nighttime. It's almost like not just black, but inky black. Another idea is, or thing that we saw, were a lot of fish. Actually at night, a lot of times fish come out at night a little bit more because they know the predators, it'd be harder for them to get caught. We did run into a moray eel, which is really cool. In fact, my wife stepped right on him. Another thing is, on this dive, we also ran into an octopus. Little one, but that was pretty cool. Okay, off of the black, I want to put in the fact, a detail of that being black, and I already said it. It was inky black. It was really dark. You're jumping into, you can't see, there's no light from below, and you're jumping in and you don't know, maybe there's sharks, who knows. Okay? But it's a detail of one of my sentences off of my main paragraph. All right, moray eel. Yeah, the moray eel had its mouth open, had this fierce look. Okay, so another detail of a sentence. Okay, that moray eel actually attacked and ate a fish. We got to see that happen. That was pretty cool. Okay, the color of the moray eel also was spotted, so that was pretty special as well. Off of the octopus, a couple things I remember was the color, that it sprayed ink as it tried to get away from us. It's one of their defense mechanisms. And we also got to touch it, so we got to feel what it was like. Now I'm getting up to the climax of it, because the ultimate reason we went there was to run into the manta rays. And so, right here at the bottom, I'm going to put, we were shining our lights around what we saw. Okay, then the mantas. When the mantas finally arrived, that was really exciting. One of the details off of shining the lights, we saw the coral reef there. We saw a lot of plankton was actually drawn into our lights. That's one of the reasons we went down there with the lights and met up with a bunch of other divers so that we could share that experience with them, but also it drew in more plankton. There turned out to be, of the manta rays, about 8 to 9 of them showed up. And they have between a 12 to 14 foot wingspan. These are huge creatures. Really exciting. And it was almost like they were dancing as they were actually feeding on the plankton, but it looked like they were dancing. And interesting, they bump into us. They actually, you can't wear a snorkel, which normally when you're diving you have a snorkel on. And we couldn't wear a snorkel because they'd actually, as they were going, they knew we were there and they wouldn't hit us hard, but sometimes they'd even bump us. So that was pretty cool. All right, so this is the first part. This is the word web. Next, we're going to talk about how to organize that. So what I want you guys to do is to build your ideas similar to mine with the main subject and then the different paragraphs that are going to come off of there, your body paragraphs, and then details, or these are really like the sentences potentially, and then details of those sentences, okay? So that's going to be your assignment. Ready? And go for it.